of the AFC favorites started 0-3. Bengals started 0-3 for I think it's the third year in a row they started 0-2. You got the Ravens, who a lot of people had going to the Super Bowl coming off the AFC Championship appearance last year. They started 0-2. They had no business losing to Vegas on Sunday. They need to ask me for that.
None.
My question for y'all is, who's in more trouble? I'm going to name the upcoming schedule for both teams. We're going to start with the Ravens. Ravens got the Bills coming up at the crib. They got the Cowboys. They got the Cowboys in Dallas coming up this week. Then they got the Bills in Baltimore. Then they're going to play the Bengals in Cincinnati, Commanders at the crib, on the road to Tampa, on the road to Cleveland, at home against the Broncos, against the Bengals again this time in Baltimore. Then you got in Pittsburgh, at Chargers, Eagles at the crib, at Giants, Steelers in Baltimore, on the road against the Texans, and they close out the season against the Browns. Now we go over to the Bengals. The Bengals remain. The schedule goes as follows. They will be playing the Washington Commanders at home on Monday Night Football this week. Then they go on the road to play the Panthers, at home against the Ravens, on the road against the Giants, on the road against the Browns, at home against the Eagles, at home against the Raiders, on the road against the Bengals, on the road against the Ravens, on the road against the Chargers, at home against the Steelers, on the road against the Cowboys, on the road against the Titans, at home against the Browns and Broncos, then they close out on the road with the Steelers. For me, I think that looking at the schedule, barring injury, I think that the Bengals will be more fine than the Ravens are. I'd be more concerned with the Ravens. The schedule looks a little tough, but they still don't know how. I think they know how to use Derrick Henry. The play calling still looks a little bit sus. I think the Bengals, they've been here before. That doesn't mean it's a good thing that you want to keep being 0-2 every year. Nobody wants to start off 0-2 as many times as they have, but at least they've been in this position and they've gone to an AFC championship game starting 0-2. So now to them, it's just kind of like regular thing, and we know how to bounce back from this. And they've got the lighter schedule. They still got a lot of things, a lot of problems. Look like Jamar Chase doesn't want to be there. It looks like we don't know when T. Higgins is going to play again. But I think even though you really can't take much from losing, they had the Chiefs dead to rights. If they wasn't so thirsty on that last defensive call, they'd have walked out of Arrowhead with a dub, and we wouldn't be sitting up here talking about this. Now, granted, the Ravens did play it close with the Chiefs as well, but I'm less concerned about the Ravens than I am. I'm less concerned about the Bengals than I am with the Ravens. Dante, which one to you is in more trouble?
The Bengals are in more trouble because Joe Burrow ain't who y'all think he is, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years. We shoot him way too much bail. Like the way we talk about Josh Allen is the way we should start talking about Joe Burrow. I understand he was hurt, but nah. Like it's the Bengals. Like they got to show me something, especially with Jamar Chase acting like he really don't want to be there. T. Higgins is already pissed off because he ain't got his money yet. So you have a situation that's brewing where this team could fall off not only because of the schedule, but just because people are pissed off. And like we said, once you lose the locker room, all bets are really off. So I think in terms of who I'm more concerned about the Bengals. I think with the Ravens, Lamar's 2-time MVP. They'll get that offensive game rolling. That's what they do in Baltimore. And the defense is still really good. So I'm much more concerned with the Bengals.
Mikey, which 0-2 team are you more concerned about?
Right now, probably the Ravens, just because of the matchup they have coming up this week. You're going up against another playoff caliber team. I think if they could get this win this Sunday against Dallas, then I think they'll be able to kind of build some positive momentum. I think they match up perfectly with the Bills because they play tough defense. That might be the first game that we see. Josh Allen maybe start tweaking and doing the normal kind of interceptions, fumbles type thing. So I think the Ravens for sure. The Bengals. They should get this W this week. T. Higgins will be playing. Jamar Chase will be out there. It'll be the first time they have their full complement of wide receivers. So yeah, I think that they have 2 winnable games and they can easily come back down to 2-2. The Ravens really need this win because if not, then you're 0-3, staring down the barrel of a gun with the Bills coming up and that could get really scary.
Bang, who you more worried about?
I'm more worried about the team that we ain't used to seeing 0-2 at this time, and that's the Ravens. The Bengals, they're used to being in this position. They barely lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Ravens, we expected them to be 2-0 at this time. You lost to the Raiders, and I was I was, of course, in Vegas. And man, the Raiders fans that was up in that casino with me watching the game, they was nervous as hell. And they didn't even expect their team to win. They just was happy that these Margs was competitive. And when I left to find out that the Ravens actually lost the game, no, they lost that game. The Raiders didn't win it. The Ravens lost that game. So the fact that they're 0-2 at this point, at this juncture of the season so far, is beyond me. We can expect the Bengals to be 0-2 at this time, and everything could be sunshine and rainbows towards the end of the season because I still think they're going to the playoffs.
Courtney, take us home on this topic. Who are you more concerned with, the Bengals or the Ravens?
Yeah, so Dante, I was almost convinced to change my mind, just because, like you said, I'm still a little uncertain about Joe Burrow. But then I'm looking at the schedule that the Ravens had, like Mikey said, their schedule, the next 3 games through week 5 is not pleasant. In Dallas, against Buffalo, and then at Cincy, that's. And honestly, my real question is the seat getting like quasi warm for John Harbaugh? Like, are we?
Yeah, it should have been warm years ago.
Dialogue yet?
Yeah, it should have been warm years ago.
It should have been warm.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like, and because I mean, listen, the Ravens are plays away the past 2 games, that game against the Chiefs and this game that they just played against Vegas, from being 2-0. Let's keep it a buck. They only, they're a couple of plays away from being 2-0. And yeah, we could say that about a lot of teams, but no, the Ravens in particular are a couple of plays away from being 2-0. So I think at this point I'm more worried about the Ravens just because of coaching decisions by John Harbaugh, and couple that with going back into Dallas. I don't think Dallas is going to get embarrassed again like that at home. I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm worried about the Ravens. I'm worried. And John Harbaugh, it's getting hot.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not.